Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We should be live. Which is hey. Right. Let us do some promotion before we continue. Share this on a couple of social media platforms. All right. Let's see. Let's share. Copy the link and. Select as post. Good. And we're gonna post it here. Learn there. All right, we did some promotion. There we go. Gotta take a sip of coffee. Really important. Yes, where were we? All right, last week on Wednesday we did a little live stream, like 2 hours or so. I'm a little bit tired, but that's okay. We're gonna just take it easy, take it relaxed, make it a relaxed day. Yes, so we started working on these thumbnails. Well, these were thumbnails I had lying around, and I hadn't really done anything with them for a long time. So I was like, you know what? Let's try to actually finish some work and do something with it. So yeah, that's what I'm doing right now. I'm trying to collect my thoughts here. I'm a little bit, as I said before, a little bit tired, but that's okay. I'm gonna just try to take it slow, take it easy, no flailing around with brushes and stuff like that, because that's a big problem of mine. I talked about that last stream. For me, it's really important that I take my time with what I'm doing. Otherwise, well, it's gonna get bad. So yeah, let's take the time and let's just start to explore what we can do. I'm not really happy with the background here. So I think I'm gonna sort of redo that. And I think that's probably a good way to go about your painting, is see what is wrong and what you don't like and think about how you can fix it. Oh, that's my method anyway. It's still quite rough overall. So let's select this as well. try to be a little bit careful with selection. Go. That. See. All right. What do I want with it? I don't really like the color of the sky and stuff back there. We need a better sky color. I think we need it to be a little bit more darker blue. I think that's better. And then we need more green down there. Yeah, I think this is working a lot better. And now we need to. This is sort of a canyon that's going that way. I feel like this has to be pushed back a little bit further as well. Maybe push this a little bit more forward. Select the mid-ground bit. Select brush. Then a little bit back. Like that. And I have a little bit more depth into the painting. Probably should collapse all my layers here and start a new one so we can easily track our progress. I'm much happier already with that. Yeah, I'm gonna collapse all the layers because I'm happy so far with what I got, and I'm gonna create a new one. So we can easily see what we've done so far in the painting. Take a sip of coffee, which is really important. That's sort of probably the most important part of painting, right? Having enough coffee. So we'll probably be a bit slow in the beginning, but that's fine. I need to train that anyway. Sort of take my time, rush things. I tend to rush things a lot when I'm painting, which is not good for the end result. So for me, it's really important that I learn to deliberately slow myself down, because I think currently for me, that's the only way to improve, to think about what I want to do. And yeah, basically I think that's basically it. Think about painting. It's not just about feel. There's a theory behind it, where the light hits and stuff like that. I think that's one of the main struggle points for me is color, light. Feel like values atmospheric perspective is going all right. I need to improve my understanding of color and stuff like that. So maybe we can do a simple color study later today to improve that, or to start work on that. I think I just need to do more exercises, work on a better understanding of color. So let's try to sort of design this cliff edge or whatever you want to call it. And this area here as well. I'm forcing myself to work on this one because I fear this one the most. Sort of to say it like that. I see potential in it, but it's really scary. I find it really scary to look for that potential, and I sort of an anxiety that I cannot extract the potential of the painting out of the image. That makes sense. Don't know if it makes sense, but so yeah, there are two ways to go about it. Is try to build your confidence by working on something that you're comfortable with, and that way when you're more confident, work on the thing that you struggle with, because then it becomes easier. If you're confident about something, it's a lot easier to do than when you're not confident. Of course, that's sort of makes sense, right? So yeah, one of the ways is to build your confidence and then go in, but it only gets you so far. I'm not sure if that would be enough for this one for me. I know at this point I just have to get in and get stuck in it and see what I can come up with. I think I'm gonna do some more. I really have to do some more designing here and try to figure out how this village or collection of buildings or naturally grown things work and look. So that's what we're gonna figure out now. Sort of, how do they look? And sort of the entrance of the buildings. I'm not sure if I'm a fan of sort of teeth-like pillars. I like them up front, at the one here at the front, but not sure how it is for the ones at the back. Like it was too big, that one. That's sort of a thingy there as well. I had to bring in some of this vibrant green. I feel like the left side is really empty. You have this sort of balcony type thing. That's it. There's nothing else. So I feel like there should be more. Maybe there is a big entrance down here. Just try some stuff. Okay, we can always get rid of it or do it. Let's try to be braver here. Let's see if there is sort of a covered walkway going down. It's going down like that. big dome here as well. Still a lot of noise here from the images that I used to create this. Wrong button. Can happen. Time to time. So let's say that there is sort of an entrance down here, and there's a sort of a path that's covered going up there. Entrance, and then path goes up here. Top. Something like that. Oops. So yeah, that's definitely making it a little bit more interesting. You have to do a lot on it, but hey, we're just started. What was I trying to say? I don't know. Got. I had to send a quick text message. So yeah, it's all very professional today. We're getting distracted, and gonna have to get some coffee later on, stuff like that. So don't expect too much, eh? And sometimes, you know, you just go ham. Like, we have these bright lit green brush type thing. The color balance, is it layer based? Yes. Should have known. Do I want to change the color balance though? Not for now. Let's not worry about that yet. First, get an actual image down. You may end up with something bad. You know, can happen. We'll try. I will try to analyze sort of what can be better and what's not working and what is. I think that's probably a way to learn as well, right? If you can see what's not working in your image, you're already halfway there, because then you can try to change that for the next painting, or try to fix it in your current painting. If you can't see what's wrong, then it's going to be a lot harder to prove. I'm still not sure about this sort of hanging thing here. I feel like if we're gonna do something with hanging stuff, we're gonna have to hang a lot more of these. Maybe different shapes. Necessarily. Do we? I think we want to keep sort of relatively consistent language there. feel like we need to pull this back a little bit as well. Let's see. Go back. Just ever so slightly. I feel like I've done a painting like this before. That's definitely the case. On a sort of an image like this, I can even find it if I want to. But I don't want to, because then you can see that I'm making the same image over and over. Oh, it's slightly different. Sort of uses the same language. It's probably okay. Yeah, I feel like we're gonna have a lot of these ropes type things dangling, but I think that's for a much later stage to add details like that, because I think that's gonna have that's gonna add a lot of character to the painting. Specific sort of language, which is gonna be lovely, hopefully. But that's not. I am really tired, so I'm struggling so much for words. Well, it's not necessarily only that I'm tired. I'm also my head was in a fairly bad state yesterday. Well, I wouldn't say bad. It was just going around and around and around, and different stuff, and thinking about different things, and so sometimes it can be hard, a little bit hard, to get your head into the right space or the right wavelength or whatever you want to call it, and that's sort of what I'm struggling with today, is to get it in that right creative painting mindset and that relaxing, everything is all right, don't worry mindset, whatever you want to call it. But that's definitely what I'm trying to do here, and probably the best way to go about it is just doing it, painting, and just taking my time. I'm gonna grab a coffee in like 50 minutes or so. I have no clue how long I've been streaming for. Maybe 3 minutes already. It feels like 5. Like I'm just... yeah, I don't know. Anyway, I'm just rambling. If you've visited my streams more often, you know that I like my rambling, and that's gonna be sort of the hallmark, the trademark of this channel, is just ramble and ramble and ramble. But that's okay. By the way, I'm currently working on these, but as I said before, we could do some color study later. I think that might be a good idea. I also have I'm also working on a painting for a video which should go out coming Friday this week. So yeah, you can look out for that. I'm not sure if I should work on it on stream. I'm a little bit behind on the painting, but I want to make it reasonably good. But I'm also working on some other projects, not related to this channel. So yeah, I could paint it today or work on it on stream, but then you have a little bit of a spoiler for Friday's video. I don't know if that's a problem or not. I should probably... I kind of wish I had the community poll section unlocked. Well, for obvious reasons, that as came clear last week, which was pointed out perfectly by Majestic Spiffing Bread. It's a good way to grow your channel, but for me, it's also a good way to connect to the community and ask the community, what do you like in the live streams? I know the live streams aren't visited extremely often, or it's not like 200 people watch, so, but therefore I think it's important to know what people would like of a live stream. They like drawing requests, or a sort of a wheel of misfortune that I put on stuff that I'm absolutely horrendous at painting. That could be something for a future live stream. Put stuff on it, you know, what I definitely need to practice, like character design or creature design and stuff like that. And then we're gonna let the wheel decide what we're gonna do. That could be fun. Look at me. I'm coming up with creative ideas for the channel here. But that's definitely something I could see happening. Yeah, I think that's a good interesting way to do with the live streams as well. And then we can maybe, if you have time, to do more than one live stream a week, we could do a very well, sort of a series in which we do full paintings on a certain day. For instance, normally I stream on the Wednesdays. That's going to be the schedule. Well, that was the schedule. I think the schedule might even change to Monday. I'm not sure, because the lockdown is gonna change. My daughter can go to school next week, probably. Well, that's the plan anyway, here in the Netherlands. So I have to homeschool her now, because my wife is a teacher and she has to work, because that's essential work. So I have to homeschool my daughter. And I can only do these sessions normally on Wednesday. Today is an exception because I arranged some stuff, so my daughter is somewhere else now. Because I can't stream tomorrow, so I was like, you know what, then I'm gonna stream on Tuesday. I feel like we're getting somewhere. If I look at this and then I look at that, I'm like, yeah, there's coming some stuff on the canvas. Great. I'm actually starting to have a lot of fun now. Sort of carefully trying to work this out. There's oops, that is a big zoom. If you were to clip, because there's a clip feature now in YouTube, if we were to clip all the coming live streams and this one, every time I sort of accidentally, when I zoom in way too much, I think we could have a really cool fail compilation at some point. But yeah, that's for the far future, when the channel, well, if the channel grows. Hopefully it will. So far it's been a steady growth, especially if you consider that I only worked from the beginning of the channel. I only actively sort of worked maybe a quarter to a third of the time on the channel. So I think that the channel could have been a lot bigger if I had the time and put in the time and the energy, and every time that I'm putting in it now. But there was some stuff I moved between now and the start of the channel, and there was other stuff going on. So sometimes it doesn't really work out as planned. But it's not. This is not really a channel to. Well, it's not my goal to make this a million subscriber channel or 100k subscriber channel. Well, if we could grow to 100k at some point, that would be great. But hey, we're not even at 500 yet. So let's grow to 500 first, and we'll see where we go from there. It's all about having fun together and painting together and learning together. You can watch me learn. You can learn along with me. And hopefully I will be able to pass on the stuff that I'm learning to you while I'm learning. Because when I think about it, if you watch a professional give a class, for instance, on character design or on anatomy, for me personally, and this can vary from person to person, of course, it sometimes is disheartening to see how good they already are. So they say, oh, you start with a rough sketch this or a thingy that, stick figure that, and then that stick figure is perfectly proportioned, and you're like, that stick figure is, which they drew in like 5 seconds, is more perfect than my best painting on which I spent 10 hours. So that can be a little bit disheartening. But you gotta remember, people like that have spent thousands of hours painting. So yeah, for them it's like the second nature, and hopefully that's something I can pass on with this channel, is the hours that have to go in to become good, or to become better. So if, for instance, in 2 years someone is looking at my paintings and is going like, wow, you're so good, and I want to be like that as well, and how can I become good like that in 2 weeks? And then I hopefully can say, you know what, there's 2 hours, over 2 hours, there's 2 years worth of live streaming, a couple of hours a week, and that's not the only painting I did. After apart from live streaming, I also did all these paintings. That's all the hours that I spent in becoming as good as I hopefully will be at that point, or at least better than I'm now. That's the point. Yes, you can set certain goals, but it's really hard to set a goal for quote unquote being good at painting. When are you good at painting? If you have a perfect understanding of perspective or color, and even if you have the perfect understanding of everything, you can still make, I don't know, doesn't really matter what I was trying to say there. I lost the point. Sorry for that. I lost my train of thought a little bit, but then I can say, you know what, look at all that, and that's all the effort that we put in. Come and join the ride, and let's put in another 2 years of effort, and then you'll see that you are a lot better than you are currently, and then I will have grown as well. That's what this is about. It's about growing together and taking you on a journey. I could not do this and spend like 2 years of practice to be good, and then start a YouTube channel, and then everybody can look like, oh, you're so good, but then my practice is sort of hidden behind well, that nobody has ever seen me practice, so it's a lot. I feel like it's a lot harder to show or to actually help people comprehend the amount of effort that something can take. For instance, if you look like, well, this is a typical Feng Zhu analogy about basketball. Let's take a different sport, or well, you can take anything, anything someone is really good at. Most of the time, when that goes public, when you see how good a person is at a certain thing, there has been years and years of practice, which is almost always, or yeah, a lot of the time, it's hidden from the public. So it almost seems like skills or these talented people pop out of nowhere, which is not the case, of course, because they have years and years of practice without anybody looking. So it's kind of a bit like a Mythbustery type process, hopefully, to show that that with practice and with effort put in, everybody can become a painter, or in my case, a decent painter. But anyway, I don't know if I will ever be a good painter. But that's probably a universal feeling. I don't know. I probably only I can only speak for myself and not for all the other painters. But there's always something about your work that you don't like. And sometimes you're working on a painting, and especially if it's a new one, I always start a new painting with the idea of this is gonna be I want this to become my best painting yet. And when you're working on it and you're doing it, you're like, yeah, this is actually gonna work. This is so far it's starting to become my best painting yet. And then you finished it, and then you're like, maybe it is my best painting yet, but it's still crap. But then it's really cool, because then you can start a new painting which is going to be your best painting yet, and that painting is probably going to be your best painting yet because it's better than the previous one. And that's progress, because if you do that 100 times, you've made 100 paintings that are your best painting yet. So the 100th, that's difficult to pronounce, the 100th painting is definitely going to be your best painting yet, and if you compare it to your first best painting yet, it's going to be so much better. And that's, well, I feel like I'm rambling on about the same stuff like for 10 minutes already, but that's okay. You have to, if you want to watch these streams, you have to deal with rambling. So yeah, that's sort of the thing that I want to show you with this channel, with all that's going on, with these progress, but especially with the live streams. I feel like live streaming is a good way to convey the amount of stuff and the amount of work that goes into something. It's a lot harder to see when you have a time lapse of an image, because people are not gonna watch 10 hours of you painting an image. Maybe when it's live, yes, but not as a video. So what you do, you speed it up. But then people have a false idea about the amount of time that it takes to make such an image. And I talked about it in my previous video. That's a trap I repeatedly walked into, and I'm still walking into to this day. Is that see this great time lapse of a professional painter, and you're like, oh, I can paint a little bit. I could probably do that. And then you go and you start, and then you know how I used to paint. Let's do a small demonstration. It's really impressive to myself. Wow, I'm actually impressed by myself how calm I'm how calm I am currently painting on this. Because not too long ago I would be like this. You know what? Let's do this. I'm like, oh, I need to do this, and then I need to do that, and there's gonna be that's crap. You know what? There's gonna be pillar crap. There's an extra thing. No, that's not what I want. I was really rushing that, and as you can see, it's not working. You're spending more time sort of fixing because you're so hasty, so putting too much pressure on yourself. Well, I was putting too much pressure on myself. So slow down and think about it, about what you want to do. If I want to do that highlight over there, I'm like, yeah, that could be. You know what? Let's lower the opacity a little bit. And then yes, that's better. There's probably some sort of a thing here that I want. Maybe there is a little bit of decorative stuff going on there. You know what? I mean, dark. That like that, and then currently I'm spending as much time as I was rushing the thing, but now the result is actually a lot better. So take your time, don't rush it. If you have to take an hour to do something, take that hour. So yeah, and especially for me, it's still difficult because I've talked about it. Because my ADD wants to jump from yeah, I'm jumping around in the painting quite a lot. That's probably something you can see. I like it because I can work on multiple areas sort of almost at once. But it also kind of wants to sort of speed me up, but I constantly have to remind myself, slow down, slow down, slow down. And it works. It really works. After a while, you have to remind yourself less and less. And hopefully someday, just automatically be relaxed and be sort of slow. So we probably should make a video instead of speed painting, we should call it slow painting. Because I feel like in this time where everything needs to be quick, it's all about speed running and quick this, quick that, who's the fastest at something. I feel like it's good to take your time sometimes and slow down. Because at a certain point it feels like you're running so fast that you can't slow down anymore without falling. And that's not a good feeling. So prevent yourself from falling and try to slow down. So yeah, I was quite scared of this. My coffee has gone cold. The last sip of coffee. That's too bad. Gonna make myself a new one shortly. So I was really scared of this bottom one. I was like, oh, I don't know, but just go in there, slow down, think about it, and yeah, I'm starting to feel it. Starting to got more and more happy. You know what? This is an entrance as well. Let's make it slightly larger. That. Sure what I want to do that just yet. I feel like if we have this sort of walkway type thing, we probably need to repeat that some places. Sort of as a design language thingy. Might do that. Right. Slowly continue. Coffee. Yeah, I'm gonna do the coffee soon. Add some texture to this thing. Maybe there needs to be light hitting this. So yeah, the rough sort of sketch painting thingy is coming along. We haven't touched the top one yet. After the coffee, I might go and work a little bit on the top one, but starting to really enjoy the bottom one. So that's a good thing, I guess. I'm gonna quickly grab a coffee and hopefully I won't let that one get cold. So I will be back in like 5 minutes. I probably should put on that very professional break screen thing. We can make it even more looking more beautiful, like that. Look at that. How beautiful does that look? Very, very professional. Anyway, I will be back in a couple of minutes. Right, I am back. To the painting. Let's take a sip of coffee first. Ah, that's good. It's good. It's really good. Get rid of that break screen. Let's see if I can. That's better. All right. There we go. Ah, breaks are necessary, but always sort of puts me off. Or no, not puts me off. It's that's not the right. That's not what I meant. It always sort of takes a while for me to get back to where I was before the break. Sometimes that doesn't really work at all, which can be quite annoying. So then you're like, you know what? It's time that I took a break, and then you take the break, and then you come back, and you're like, or you're totally out of the process, and then it takes a little bit of time to get back into it. And sometimes just sort of can't. Really annoying. But as with everything, just continue, and hopefully it works. I decided to do a little bit of painting on the top one, because hey, it needs painting as well. So let's get these planks going. Oh. I feel like that shouldn't be that. The thick boy. Go. Right. Planks. We probably should make a door at some point in here as well. We'll definitely do that first. Let's get those planks. Yeah. Kind of works. Then we have a door here. It's the door. Hold the door. How long have I been streaming? An hour. That's decent. I was planning on streaming for like 2 hours, maybe 3. We'll see how long we can handle it. By the way, if you're watching this later and you're sort of rewatching, that's the beauty of YouTube. You can rewatch streams fairly easily. You can just go to the stream and rewind and stuff like that, like the YouTube stream. if you like it and you want to catch the next, if you're watching this back at a later stage and you like it and you want to join upcoming streams, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell. And then you get a notification when we go live. Currently I'm streaming once a week, but I have plans to expand that to twice a week. I have to figure out a second time slot because I don't really want to same time slots. It's in the morning here. Well, yeah, it's 11 a.m. Yeah, a.m. So streaming from like 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. maybe. But I feel like if I do that, for instance, on Tuesday and let's say Friday, I wow. Maybe if I talk, I should finish my sentences. All right. Well, yeah. Anyway, I probably want to stream on Friday then or something like that, or yeah, I think on Friday. So maybe the next or Thursday. The next schedule could be from next week. Could be Monday and Thursday, probably. Yeah, that's probably gonna be the schedule. But then I have to worry about school times, my daughter. So gonna be both in the morning. But that's okay. Maybe I can figure out a way to do an evening stream in the future. Well, local time evening, so that would be midday for US. So yeah. Anyway, I'm just scribbling down these tiny details because I'm not sort of a little bit lost. I don't really know where to go now, what to do for now. So I'm like, yeah, this tree and the ground needs a little bit of detail, so let's give it to it. And the flow is really low, but it's kind of. But if you do 1% flow and 30, I was like, why is my brush behaving weird, but also kind of nice? This is. Gotta check the difference. This is 17% flow and this is 75% flow. So yeah, the flow is really giving texture in this brush, right? Which is kind of cool for a lot of stuff. So yeah, I'm actually quite happy with that. That's good for 38% flow. When you're doing a city scene with really where you don't necessarily want that much texture, you don't want that, but I feel like here we can actually use that fine. No. Oh, another one for the reel. So yeah, I'm basically when I'm doing stuff like this, I'm either very far into the painting and it's all small details. Even then, I tend to not do too much detailing on background stuff like this, which I probably should think about doing a little bit. Because I think it's kind of working. And that's the case now. I'm just really not sure how to continue yet. So I'm just building up the courage to just go for it, because that's sort of like having to jump from the high diving board, for instance, in a pool, for lack of a better analogy. And you're kind of scared and you don't really want to do it, but you're building up the courage. And that's sort of what I'm doing right now, and I'm trying to build up the courage to take that jump and go for it. And yeah, but one day we'll have the courage, hopefully today, hopefully in the next couple of minutes. Well, slowly but surely, sort of hitting different areas of the painting, and we're slowly but surely working our way towards the building again and doing stuff with that. Feel like we can do some work on this. Well, let's try not to go too fast, because that's these are the moments where I'm going I tend to go too fast, so I don't really know how to proceed, and then I don't know, it's almost as if my brain thinks that if I put down a lot of stuff at the same time, and the painting is progressing quicker, and then I know better what to do or something, for lack of a better explanation. I tend to start rushing when I don't really know what to do, and then it goes downhill from there, because then I don't really know what to do, but I rush. So I rush things that I don't really know why I want to do it or how I want to do it, and then, well, it's gonna end up being one big ugly mess. So that's not good. So yeah, not do not do that. Try to remain calm, even if you don't really know where to go from a certain point. Stay calm and carry on. Do your thing. Take your time. This is also me speaking to me, not just you, but that's advice for myself as well. Just, it's okay. It doesn't have to be perfect either. That's also a problem that I sometimes have, not always. Is try to make the perfect painting. There's always something you want to change, you're not happy with. So I don't think for you personally, if you look at personal work, I don't think the perfect painting exists. For me personally, at least, it doesn't. There's always something I think I should have done or could have done differently. So yeah, there's that. But that's okay, because that's also a way to progress, to get better, because there is something you want to do differently, or you can do differently. That means that you're learning and that you're progressing. So then in the next painting you can take that information and use that to make your next painting better, just with the things that you thought you to make better. So yeah. But this is all background stuff, and we're not gonna really detail a lot of these things here. We're just gonna keep sort of a little bit of the suggestion of detail there. There's a little bit of detail, of course, but not like the stuff we did on the foreground. Mainly as it serves the purpose that when you look at it, you're like, ah, there's actually a lot more building back there as well. So that's main thing we want to get through. And what helps for me is after a while, and you're like, yeah, I've done some work. Check your work. See, like, this is an improvement, or sometimes it's not. But most of the time, you look at it and you go, yeah, it's better. That also works encouraging, because then you're like, if that I have spent X amount of minutes or X amount of hours or whatever, X amount of time is probably the best way to say it on it, and it has improved by that. Then you can say to yourself, you know what, let's put in another X amount of hours and see what I can do in that time period. I'm still not sure if I want to do the painting that I'm sort of planning for having a video on Friday. I think I'm not gonna do it on stream because I really want to know what people think of that. If people mind being sort of quote unquote spoiled by a painting. So I'm happy and I'm not. I really like the idea. I really like the composition and go for, but I'm still, yeah, I'm in that, I'm sort of in the ugly stage with it. Like it's just about to pass the rough painting stage in which you think like, oh, this is still rough, but this could be such a cool painting. I just like rough paintings, you know. It's just, but I feel like it cannot be. It is not finished. A rough painting can be finished sometimes, if that makes sense. I don't know if that makes sense, but I'm saying it anyway. But this one is not. But it's now sort of between in that weird state where it's not the cool, rough painting stage, but it's also not the finished state. So yeah, let's just call it the ugly state. It's a little bit in the ugly stage now. So that's always a difficult stage to go through. Same with this roof. I feel like this roof is now in the ugly state and needs some sort of overhaul to make it good. See if I do it like this. So yeah, I will work on that this afternoon, off stream, because if I want to publish that video on Friday, I have to do some work on it because the video also has to render and stuff like that, and that's not really quick. Well, it's like if I want to render a 20-minute video, I'm rendering for like 40 minutes, so well, that's quick enough, but also need to speed up parts of the video, and maybe I'm making some cuts, and I also want to make a little bit of a script again because I want to do commentary on it anyway. I was like, yeah, at first I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna make these landscape paintings or other paintings, and then I'm gonna make a video, and then I'm gonna put some music on it. But I also want to convey my thoughts about the painting as well. So yeah. I have to also write a little bit of a script, or at least not necessarily a script, but some talking points. Because if you follow me, and then you know I'm notoriously for rambling, so hopefully can make it a good video. And I don't want to make it too long. I don't want to make it a 40-minute video. I really want to start to separate my videos from my live streams. Like the live streams are for long in the live streams, yeah, those are long, and you can really see the time it takes for the progress, and the videos are just for trying to get a point through and talking about some stuff, and meantime show a nice, hopefully a nice looking piece of painting getting done. So yeah. Maybe I will have to figure out some talking points yet for the video. It's partly also again probably gonna talk about slowing down instead of speeding up. Because I really did that with that video, with that painting, and feel like it really helps so far. I think I'm gonna spend like the last half an hour or I add to the selection. Subtract. I think I'm gonna spend the last like half an hour, 3/4 of an hour doing a color study of some sort from an image. Maybe some image that I took myself, or a random Google image search. That's also okay if you haven't really any images that you're like, I want to do a color study on that. Just to, I think I need to improve my understanding of color. So I think the best way to do that is just to do some color studies. So I think for the coming live streams, I'm just gonna end stream by doing like a half an hour study, half an hour to 2/4 of an hour. So we're gonna have like an hour to an hour and a half of actual painting, and then painting on the painting that we're working on. So those are these two. That's going to be an hour, like or an hour and a half. Yeah, probably an hour and a half should be better, I think. And then the last half an hour to 3/4 of an hour practice stuff, and then we'll change the practice subject regularly, I guess. I feel like this tree over here should be back, maybe. Yeah. So that way we do the hard. Is practice hard work? I don't know. It's a change of pace. Yeah, I think we can say we do the hard work first. That's sort of the painting, and that has to be. Have to really think about it. Of course, with practice as well, but um, trying to say here. with this, you do what you've practiced and bring it into reality. With practice, it's all about practice. Sometimes it's about repetitive things. Practice can be a little bit more relaxed, so to say. Maybe that's probably different for everyone. I feel like I could relax a little bit more during practice than when I'm doing sort of the real deal. Practice is more about experimenting. And when it goes wrong, you can say, you know what, it's practice, and what did go wrong. And of course, this is also a form of practice. Wow, I'm just setting a trap for myself, right? In which I don't really, I can't really figure out what to say and what to tell and what's going on. Crap. Oh, right. Anyway, I don't have to explain myself why I do the practice at the end. If I want to do that, then I want to do that. But here's the thing: if the practice goes bad, right? If the practice is frustrating and doesn't really work, I can just end the stream a little bit earlier. No harm done. But when I do the practice at the beginning and it doesn't really work the way I wanted or whatever, then I have to do a whole stream after that, being frustrated about something that didn't really work and it really felt like I got out of it what I wanted to get out of it. So that's that. Because there are certain things that I want to practice. The color study, line drawing is definitely something I want to practice a lot more, because I'm really bad at making good line drawings. I do some sketches with line drawings for my new painting, which comes out on Friday. I did a really quick line drawing sketch. But yeah, that wasn't really great. It's still really rough. So yeah, that's definitely something I want to practice a little bit more. And color, and lighting. Lighting is also something I struggle with. Where do you put highlights and stuff like that? And I think it's mainly something that has to do a lot with going too fast. When you're going too fast, you're not really paying attention on stuff like lighting and things like that. If you know a little bit about perspective, it's not too hard. And let's be real, in a painting like this, the perspective is a little bit, it's all quite flat, so in that sense it's not that great of a painting. Here we have a little bit more perspective. This probably, I can, for instance, if this is the horizon line, let's make this a new layer. If this is the horizon line, for instance, maybe a little bit lower, maybe there, we know that it has to go like this. You can eyeball it a little bit, and then we see, you know what, if this has to be flat, we need to change that. So that's something you can, even if you go a little bit fast, you can probably quite easily, especially if your perspective isn't too complex, you can do that perfectly. For me, at least, it's not that, I don't think, for me personally, perspective isn't incredibly difficult. I can also quite easily see, I think everyone can see when perspective is off, because you're so used to it. It gets quite easy to spot when it's not right. Um, but lighting, oh man, I really suck at lighting. So that's definitely one of the things that we gonna practice as well. So color, lighting, line drawing, and who knows, maybe we'll eventually do anatomy and stuff. That's scary stuff, man. I don't want to start with that, but at some point I probably have to do it, right? Doing mainly landscapes now because that's safe. That's a safe haven for me. No anatomy to worry about. But it's the same as with everything. Just practice, and hopefully we'll get better at it. But for now, I'm putting it off. First, I want to do the color and the lighting and the line drawings. Because if the line drawings go all right, we can use that for anatomy practice. Maybe these things go hand in hand. A little bit of line drawing, a little bit of anatomy practice with line drawings, stuff like that. We can make a combination of that. The same with probably with color study and lighting. If we grab an image that has some interesting lighting scenario, we can study that a little bit. So yeah, let's take the last sip of cold coffee. Ugh. That's not good. Well, better than no coffee, but it's always a shame that coffee gets cold. So yeah, funny thing is, I'm starting to like the bottom one a lot more than the top one. And I was really scared for the bottom one when I started today. I have to say I mainly worked on the bottom one, so yeah, that's kind of makes sense. But I don't know, I feel there's so much more potential in it. There's so much to do yet. I think I can easily spend a couple more hours on it, especially at this pace. Just take it slow, take it slow. The top one is a little bit okay-ish, but yeah, not that great. So that's kind of cool. I feel the subject matter is probably a little bit more interesting. It's more fantasy type stuff. Yeah, let's be real. Everyone likes fantasy. Still not sure what to do with this cave thing here. It feels a little bit out of. I don't know. I don't know if it fits. Doesn't really connect too well with the rest of the image. Maybe let's do a new layer. And what if we let's select the normal lasso tool. What if we were to make this a big thing like that? Let's go to 8%. Probably something like this. Let's go for a little green or blue. It says blue here. I really like the blue in the beginning, but now I'm not really sure what to do with it. I probably should either get rid of it or bring it more into the painting. Yeah, so what if we make this sort of an entrance? It's a little bit dark. Something like that. Maybe question mark. And this is probably gonna need some. I know. Now I'm a little bit in the rush stage, but I feel like I'm in control still. As long as you feel like you're in control, then it's okay if you rush things a little bit. If you're like, I'm starting to lose control here, slow down. For me, at least, that's what works. Like we can up the flow a little bit. Get some interesting looking door. Anyway. It's really quick, it's really dirty, but it's something to think about for time being. I feel like if we were to do this, we need to select the inverse and probably push that back a little bit. I'm gonna keep this on a layer so we can check that for the next time whether I like it or not, or whether I want to keep the cave. I'm not a fan of this blue area here. We could just get rid of it by painting green over it, of course, but also not really sure what to do with that cave. I feel like this fits the theme a little bit more. Yeah. All right. That was some painting practice. Let's do a color study. Let's make a new image. Let's just create a thingy image. Let's save it somewhere. I probably should restructure my folder thingies. You know what? Let's make a folder called studies, and then we go and make a new folder color study. Boom, and then call it color study for 1. Boom. And I don't like a bright white canvas because it hurts the eye. Okay, we're gonna make it grayish. And now we need to figure out what we want to study. We can grab an image from internet, or I have some landscape images that I can try to figure out something. Landscape. Let's put on screen capture. And oh, we should open them on this screen, of course. This is from the subreddit Earthborn, I guess. Really nice images there. Some of them are good for studying, some are a little bit less. I think we should just maybe start with this. This is a little bit inside my comfort zone, maybe, but let's start with this. Let's edit the title. After painting, some studying. And the title, study color. Is that the way you spell studying? I don't know. I think, is this big enough? And yeah, you know what? We're gonna do it like this. And yeah, we have the reference image there, the image that we're gonna paint on there. So let's start by grabbing, and this is a small image. This is just full HD resolution, so 1080p high, 1920 wide. Because I don't think we need a big we don't really need big a big image for that. Right, so let's start, I guess. I should do this more often because it lets you get a feel of how landscapes work. Serves as inspiration and things like that. Of course, I could do this and make it look like this is my own painting by turning off screen capture, so you only see the painting that I'm doing. But yeah, let's not cheat here, and let's not pretend that I'm figuring this landscape out of my head. I'm taking full inspiration from the landscape. Well, no, I'm not even taking inspiration. I'm just copying the landscape because we want to learn. And that's okay. If you're practicing, find an image like this and do the same. Take your time. Don't expect it to be perfect in 5 minutes. That's a mistake that I made a lot in the past. You can't put down, even a landscape painting, you can't put down a painting in 5 minutes. Or no, just don't. It's probably someone who says, yeah, but if you do this or that, I don't care, don't do it. You could work with the lasso tool, by the way, if you want to. If you're like, I want to figure out these shapes and want to make them a little bit better, you could go landscape, not landscape. You could go lasso tool, and you could also can bring in a little bit more texture there. So for a little bit cleaner image, it's probably a good idea. And remember, don't rush. Goes for me as well. I have like half an hour. I have half an hour for this image, so at least half an hour. We're spending half an hour practice, and there's a lot of difference between spending half an hour on something like this or your own image. Maybe if you do this a lot, you can make something of your own in half an hour. I can probably make a similar looking landscape in half an hour, but yeah, that's not what I'm currently after. And I think the more you do this, the more you see different how do I explain that? No. No. I lost it. Well, select it. Okay. The more you do this, the better you understand how the landscape works, I guess. So the easier it is to put something, to paint something of this yourself. And let's be real. the real world is awesome to paint. Oh crap. No, no crap. It's okay. The real world is just awesome. It's great. It's a great inspiration source. So if you want to do a fantasy landscape, you can grab this and use this as an inspiration to your landscape, fantasy landscape, and that's definitely something that a lot of artists do, even old artists. They all draw inspiration from the real world, some way or another. Alright, so now we have sort of done the easy part, because now we need to start spending time to actually make this the landscape that it is, with all the terraces and stuff like that. Now begins the fun part, or the hard part for me actually, because putting sounds down something like this, that's peanuts. That's not hard. Just use your lasso tool, create some mountain looking shapes and fill them in, and boom, you have something that looks like a landscape. But now let's not make it perfectly similar, but now you need to do this and that. And let's bring in all these colors just to use them. It's okay if it's not a perfect copy, by the way. You can do that. You can make it a perfect copy, but then it will take a lot longer, which is fine, of course, if you're after that. I'm mainly after studying the colors and how they work, and putting the colors down and making a readable painting with those colors. So if I can make a readable painting, these colors, then I'm happy. Yes, it's gonna be rough. So that tree line over there. Probably should grab this and not sure if this is the best brush for it, but sticking with it. I think that's also a good way to practice more, or to practice your skill, is to just pick a brush and stick with it. Because then you're not relying on the brush, but on your skills to translate the shape of the brush into what you want it to be. So this brush is quite okay for the landscapes, but if I had I don't have a tree brush, but for instance, if I had a pine tree brush and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna just that pine tree brush to put down all these trees here, then I'm relying on the brush to do the work for me. And sometimes that's okay when you're in a hurry or a professional and you need to make a painting in like an hour and you're in a rush and you're making concept art or something. But if you're studying, I don't think that's a good idea, because the next time you have to do that and you don't have access to that brush, how are you gonna do it then? Then you have to do it by hand. And if you haven't done it by hand yet, that can be quite difficult. For me, I'm struggling. I'm like, this is a mess. But that's okay. We'll take your time. I haven't really checked when I started my practice. It's probably like 10 minutes now. And if you've noticed, I have gone into the rampage mode again. of flailing around, and you can see the result. We're 10 minutes in and I haven't really put anything meaningful on the canvas. So we're gonna force ourselves to slow down and just paint the image that we see on here. Paint that, and that's what we're gonna do. Paint that image. Take the time to paint that image. Instead of throwing down shapes and hope that they stick in the correct order to read like a painting. That's probably the best way to describe it, the way that I paint sometimes. You're just throwing colors and shapes at the canvas, and then you're hoping that at some point it's like, yeah, magically a cool looking painting appears. It's not how it works. You have to direct the shapes. You are in control. You tell the shapes what they are, where they need to go. Be precise with that. Well, precise. You can be loose, but be in control of putting down these shapes. Since this is that, and then we have this bright green area here. We have these hedges because there is some border there. It's a road, or it's a road, that's also okay. I don't know what it is. Some green there as well. And as I said before, I'm not working on a perfect copy of this image. Working on understanding how the different elements in the image work together to create that image. So there are these trees here, and because if I understand that, I can use that information in a later painting and grab elements. For instance, if I know this is a tree line, for instance, and if I grab some grass and some grass down there, then I know, you know what, I can use that information in a later image. I can put not necessarily this exact tree line that it's exactly the same, but I can put a tree line there and sort of try to figure out how the landscape flows down here as well, because we have these terraces going up here as well. I don't know where this is. I probably should have checked so we could sort of give a shout out to this place, because it's gorgeous. Well, nature doesn't need a shout out. Nature is just there and care what you think. Still really rough, and I'm like, now this is what I mean by the ugly state. If you zoom out, you're like, yeah, it's you can see that it is similar, that it is probably meant to be a painting of the image that we have on the right there. But if you zoom in, you're like, ugh, that doesn't look good at all. Well, at least I am. And that for me is, and I think for most artists, is the hardest part of a painting. Sort of, the beginning is there, the roughing out of the ID or subject, whatever, and now you need to do some refining for it to actually become good looking painting. And yeah, that can take some time. Sometimes it's just 10 minutes and then the ugly stage is over, but sometimes it lasts a little bit longer. And boy, is that scary. But if you know what you want to achieve with your painting, if you know what you're going for, then it's okay. Then stick with it, and the phase will pass. That's why it calls an ugly phase or ugly stage. Because yeah, phase is probably the best word for it, because it's a phase. It goes away after a while. It's probably a river. Excuse me. I think it's a road, but it doesn't really matter what it is. Cuts through the landscape. Yeah. But if you spend sort of 20 more minutes, 15 to 20 more minutes, sort of more detailing, everything will be a little bit clearer, and then hopefully most of the ugly stage will be, well, we will have battled our way successfully through the ugly stage. So these are, I think these are also good practices for that, sort of know your ugly stages and know what to about it. I'm just rambling, right? I'm also, this is also practice for me, so I'm really scared right now. Oh, wow, this is going to end up like a mess. This is never gonna work, right? And then it's really easy to give up. And I have given up countless of times in this phase. Or sometimes even from before I properly hit the phase. But don't give up. Power through it. Use all your knowledge that you have. How much or how little that may be, that doesn't really matter. Continue. Because if you give up, what have you learned? Not that much. If you continue for, like, let's say if I continue for 10 more minutes and it still looks bad, I still, and if I haven't really successfully defeated the ugly stage, so to say, I still have 10 more minutes of practice, and when I give up now, so don't just give up on things. Make it count. Make the battle count. Also, don't shouldn't want to make everything as detailed as in the original image, probably. Try to add depth to your painting by detailing some areas more than others. That's what I'm trying to do now here. I'm really trying to focus on this middle area to make that sort of detailed. And then the rest is well, has to be detailed a little bit more than it currently is, but Something brighter. To define these, which is a little bit better. And here it's also about taking your time. Don't rush it. Doesn't really matter if it takes you 15 minutes or 50 minutes or 5 hours to come to the end result. The important part is to get there, and every little step counts. And yeah, some people will get there quicker than others, but that doesn't really matter. For instance, when you're running a marathon, I have never run a marathon, and I will probably never do it in my life. But huge respect to those people who do. You have sort of amateurs who do that for fun. Running a marathon in like 4 hours, is that correct? I think that's sort of correct. They could get easily discouraged by the world record of running a marathon, which is just under 2 hours now, I believe. I think the guy broke it, right? Made it under 2 hours. And that's a huge difference when you look at it. If I were to run a marathon, I would probably spend like 8 hours and be dead at the end. But with practice, I'd be quicker the next time, and the time after that, and the time after that. So, but it's really easy to give up and be like, yeah, I'm never gonna be. I feel like, especially in painting, for me at least, it's really easy to give up and be like, I'm never gonna be as good as Sir X. But if you don't spend the time, yes, you're never gonna be as good as Sir X, Y, or Z. But you can't really expect to be at the same level as them when you're just starting out. The same as that marathon story. You can't expect to run a marathon in 4 hours when you've never run your life before, when you haven't put in the practice and stuff like that. You're not gonna make it. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't try to practice and improve. If you really want to run a marathon in 4 hours someday in your life, you're gonna practice for it, right? And you expect that you need the practice. The same goes for painting. If you want to paint a beautiful landscape in 2 hours, get a practice. Even if it takes you 10 hours the first time, or even if it takes you 100 hours, you have 100 hours worth of practice, which is a lot. Which is a lot more than most people. And by the way, this advice is not only for you, but that's for me as well. I'm also in that boat where I'm like, I should be able to do. When I started this little practice thing, that's 20 minutes ago. I was like, oh, I could probably do it in 20 minutes or half an hour, or 20 minutes in. I'm like, probably need at least another 20 minutes to make it even reasonably good or reasonably watchable, or should I say it? But yeah, to make it look a little bit reasonable. So I overestimated my ability there, mainly because there are quite a lot of complex shapes. I could have dumbed it down probably, and I am dumbing it down a little bit, of course, because dumbing it down is probably not the right word. Simplifying. I think painting is also a little bit about simplifying, but that's an all other story. So even if you're overestimated or underestimate the time it's gonna take you, don't sweat it. put in the extra hour that it takes. That's okay. Usually people, when people see a nice artwork on Reddit, for instance, or wherever, well, there are always people who ask, or well, not always, but most of the time there are people like, how long did it take? But they're not gonna judge you for taking 10 hours. Something cool. They're like, wow, I wish I had the discipline to spend 10 hours to make something cool, or 100 hours. Most of the time, people are in awe in how much time you're willing to put aside for something. Yeah, it still looks like crap, right? Oh, we just power through. Come on, I'm gonna sit here as long as I have to because I feel like you guys deserve it, and I feel like I should deserve it as well to be happy, to give myself the time to do it right, rather than giving up and like work out the way I wanted it. I'm gonna quit. That's the easy way out. And yes, I've done that. I've probably taken the easy way out more times than powered through. So, but at some point you just want to change that. I'm at this point in my life where I'm like, no, I'm gonna skip out anymore. I'm gonna sit there, power through. By the way, if you see making me mistakes or anything, or you're like, maybe if you would do that, then you can make it yourself a little bit easier or whatever. Just say it. That's okay. We're learning together here. I feel like I should really work on this area, find it a little bit more, and then make the rest a little bit more detailed than it currently is, but because it deserves a little bit more detail. But I feel like making that the focal point is probably our best bet. I'm actually quite happy that I'm doing this right now at the end of the stream. I will probably do this. No, not probably. I will do this more often. We'll do this every stream. Not necessarily a photo study like this one, but doing a practice thing. I think we should probably focus on photo studies for the next coming weeks. I'm enjoying it. It gives me a lot of information, and yeah, in the end you end up with actually quite nice paintings. So yeah, we're gonna be running a little bit late today on the stream, but I have the time, so I'm enjoying myself. Actually, it's kind of therapeutic to sort of do this and try to figure out where shapes go and how can I make this landscape on my painting. It's good for a change to not have to worry about the design myself, so I can just almost copy it from the image, which is yeah, nice. Um, So that can be quite draining if you make your own sort of image, fantasy landscape or sci-fi or whatever. It can be quite draining to figure out the design and stuff like that. But we don't have to worry about that for this one, so we can totally focus on the colors and stuff like that. Much more on the fundamentals. That's why we are doing this, to get better at those. As you can see, the painting is not an exact copy of the reference image. That's not the goal today. The goal is to see how the colors work and that kind of stuff. These trees, or are these rocks? I can't really see, I can't really tell, but it's a little bit like Bob Ross doing this, just happy letting the painting, dabbing with brush on the canvas, and shapes appear, and a nice little landscape with a lot of happy trees. No happy little clouds though, but it's okay. I don't need to know why you thought I needed to shop. Oh, we pressed the wrong button there. A little bit more atmospheric perspective there. It's getting there. It's sort of slowly pulling itself out of the no, not pulling itself. I'm slowly pulling it out of the ugly stage, I feel. Gonna sit here. As you can see, I'm a little bit scared to work on the middle, so I'm just dabbing the mountainside here and there and just dabbling in there. I'm scared, you know? Scared to screw up. But at some point we're gonna have to set that aside and start working on the middle again, because that's what makes the painting the end. It's the details in the middle. So let's pull ourselves together and try to go after it. I think I need higher opacity on the brush. 70, maybe 80%. Zoom in a little. And I have to say, I'm starting to look less and less at the reference. Sort of, I've looked a lot at it, and now I'm sort of filling the gaps with my own imagination, which based upon the reference, but not necessarily exactly the same. So we're gonna end up with an image that looks slightly different, but that's okay. I feel like we can get away with that. We're not here to make a copy of the painting. We're here to study colors and interaction with each other, stuff like that. I think I'm just gonna spend the rest of my life doing this. I love it. It's just so relaxing. Just looking at an image and go like, oh, nice These trees. Let's paint the trees. Love it. It's a lot less stressful than creating your totally your own images. Should do this more often. As I've said like times already now. Sorry for that. I tend to repeat myself a little too often. Gonna have to work on those tree lines sort of standing between all these. Terraces or it's China, yeah, so it's sort of terraces. I can see it in the, the description of the image now. The name of the should save it. I don't know if I've saved it. Well, even if we lose the result, that's okay because we can easily make a new one, and it's not like we want to present this to someone. It's just for practice. So doing part is more important than having a file at the end. So even if I lose the file now, I still have the practice that I've done so far. I feel like we need that green area here. Some more green stuff. Trees going. It's going here as well. By the way, if you're new here, we're gonna stream every week. Or we are streaming every week, and plan is to expand that to 2 times a week. And we have a video of a new painting every 2 weeks for now. Hopefully we can up the amount in the future, but I'm not sure. I don't want to overdo it. I've also other stuff to work on. But it's really the journey to become a better artist. So I'm not a professional or anything. I don't make money from my art. I just like to paint, and I like to make beautiful stuff. I still have a lot to learn, and I want to take you guys on the journey with me, because yeah, you see a lot of professionals doing this, and then you're like, oh, I want to do that as well. But it's easy to forget the time that it takes to become that good. So I'm gonna try to be that good at some point. And you can come along on the journey, see the effort we have to put in, and we can put in the effort together. This shared journey. Yeah, I feel like these tiny details are gonna make quite an impact. I really underestimated the time it would take me to do this. Especially since I didn't really know what I was doing in the first like 10 minutes. I was like going way too fast. Now that I've slowed down, it's still gonna take me quite some time probably. But as I said, even if it's gonna take me another half an hour, it's just gonna sit here. I still have time. It's probably time to get some lunch soon. But I know that if I go and grab my lunch now, say, you know what, I'm gonna go on a lunch break, I'm never gonna go back in this sort of practice mood. Then the stream is just over. So I want to continue now. Shouldn't overdo it, of course, but I really think now with oops, another 10 or so minutes, I think we can make quite a nice difference now. I think we're at stage where we can do that. It's all about control now. Overdoing it, going too fast, which I tend to do a lot. Get darker here. Trees, yes. Yes, in the end it's gonna end up being still a fairly rough painting, but a rough painting is not necessarily a bad thing. As long as it's readable and you can see what is going on the painting, then it's okay. So hopefully in 10 minutes time this is going from slightly readable to readable enough to stop. Not really a fan of this area here, but I think we're gonna leave it as it is. I'm at 30% opacity. Let's grab 60 or 70, go with that. I don't know why I was at some details in. Yeah, there goes my alarm for the time to definitely stop. But I'm gonna go tiny little bit longer. Maybe we will continue with this next week with this particular image, because I feel like there is much more potential to be had from this one. A little bit struggling now. Fair. I think we need to fix those trees here. To focus more on adding detail that helps read the image better. I'm gonna build up a lot of these tree lines because I feel like they separate the image quite good. That's in on the real image. They separate all these terraces. Like we should something like that. And then there's quite a bit of trees going here in the quite a bit. Let's grab slightly darker. Yeah, let's separate a couple of these with trees as well. Foreshortening here is a little bit good. Why is it saying that my audio bitrate is lower than recommended? I am streaming audio, but YouTube streaming sometimes. Could be because I sometimes don't say anything for a while and then he's like, oh, you're not streaming audio. Sorry. Didn't speak for like 10 seconds. Sometimes I just to gather my thoughts. YouTube apparently doesn't care about that. It's like, you're not doing the recommended stuff. Yeah. Alright. I will check after the stream whether the audio is good or not. And if not, then I'm gonna be very, very sad. If it is, well, happy and just gonna ignore YouTube. It's whiny messages. Yeah, I feel like it's coming together slowly but surely. Halfway, I should have probably done a new layer so we could see the progress a little bit better. But hey, want to see the progress, rewind the stream like 20 minutes and then you can see the difference. So yeah, I underestimated the time it would take me to do this a little bit. So running a little bit late, and unfortunately I have to quit very, very soon. But I think I will probably finish this in my own time. Maybe we'll continue with it next week. Not sure. We'll do another. We will definitely do another next week. Whether it's gonna be this one or one, we'll see. I think it should can use a little bit more work. It's getting there. It's getting there. Anyway, thanks for watching, everyone, and I hope to see you in the next one. I'm gonna grab some lunch, and yeah, be done with it. Thanks for watching, and till next time. Bye.